Every name you drop got roots in the grind. History speaks loud, just listen to the line. We struggle to shine, we honor the climb. We're losses hit deep, but sharp in the mind. Real don't flex, they just move with weight. Welcome to the legacy, room A108, go to the legacy. Yeah.
All right, everybody, welcome back to Room A108. I'm your host, David. Joining me, as always, my co-host, CJ. And we're back for another episode. Today's episode, we'll discuss. Let me pause for a second, real quick. The Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. That's a soundbite, right? The Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. First topic. That's gonna be a lot of fun, especially after last episode. We were even texting. We'll get into it, but we're like, hey, we might not even show up if it went the other way. But hey, it didn't go that way. We'll get into it. We'll also talk about next week's matchup, the Divisional Round versus the Rams at Soldier Field. Touch on the other games in the NFL playoffs, and we'll finish it up talking about your boys in the national championship.
Yes, sir.
Happy for you, man.
Oh, appreciate it, man. Long time coming.
Good stuff. So usually at this part of the episode is where I'm like, hey, how do you feel about the game? I told you downstairs, I got something I got to get off my chest. Right.
Floor is yours, my boy.
All right. Let me get loose. All right. So it's important to me that I get this right. So I'm watching my words, right? But Packers fans, learn to take the loss. Learn to take the loss. Because for 20 years, there's been some years sprinkled in there where the Bears have maybe had a better season. But for the greater part of 20 years, we've been on the other end of it. It is what it is. Bears fans, it may not have felt good, but we take our losses and we don't say, oh, it's because of this, make up excuses. We'll point the blame, say, hey, they're at fault, but never, oh, it wasn't justified. I've always said, hey, Green Bay has been the better team. 2025, nope, that is not the case. In 2025, you all have to hold that L. Hold the loss. You all have to eat losses for 365. Fogo de Chao, Churrusco style, turn green. All you can eat off the skewer losses all day. That's your diet, eating losses. Because a couple weeks ago, what was it? It was, Jordan Love got hurt. You all barely beat a backup. Well, Jordan Love played the full game. And you all had your foot on our throats. You had the game in your hand. But y'all got y'all ass beat. That's what it was. As soon as the game was over, Bullard, what was his excuse now? Oh, you're nothing special. Nothing special happened. We beat ourselves. Well, y'all really sucked then. Because not only did we beat you, you all beat yourselves. So what now? Like, excuse after excuse is becoming pathetic. I'm starting to pity Packer fans. Like, for real, for real. So y'all have to learn to take the losses. Get better. You're already posting social media posts about you cleaning out what is that? You don't post the social media of your team cleaning out the lockers. That's just salt on the wound right there. So I had to dive into it because I'm seeing so much bitterness from the Packers fans, and I love it. I love every bit of it. Just wallow in your tears, and we will enjoy next week's game plan while y'all figure out what you got to do on draft day. CJ.
It's very rare that we get David with the flamethrower, scorched earth. Love it.
I had it. I was practicing on the way here. I'm like, man, what am I going to talk about?
Love it, bro. Love it.
Yep.
Yeah, man, for sure. Absolutely, man.
How do you feel? I know you got hot takes, man. What do you got from this last week?
You said everything that could be said and needed to be said about, Packers fans and the way that they, digesting that game. But it ain't we definitely weren't feeling that way when the game started, though. I'll say that for sure. We got to find a way between this upcoming Sunday and going into next year for a way for this offense to start faster, bro. Like, it's as fun as this is, and as engaged and on the ride as we all are going to be, I think we're all smart enough to know that it's not something that's sustainable for multiple seasons. So we got to get that ironed out. But man, I told you earlier, I said, if it wasn't for the fact that my son was watching the game with me, I probably would have cut that game off and went to bed somewhere around like that 4th and 1, the 4th and 1 interception when it was 21-6, because I had to work the next morning.
Yeah.
But my son's sitting there watching with me, so I couldn't set a bad example. I had to see it through. And, luckily for me, the investment paid off. But probably, and it's crazy to say this because I feel like I'm getting ready to say this for like the second, like at least like the third time, but biggest win of our generation.
Easily.
And it's
easily.
How many times, like how rare is that you say that multiple times in one season? Like
it keeps the stakes keep getting higher and higher, and we keep matching the occasion. Like it's great. And I love the fact that I'm seeing. I don't mind bandwagon Bears fans. I don't mind it. I mean, I'm not one. I'm me and you were with it in the trenches, but I love seeing the people that are halfway fans, and all of a sudden the Bears are doing good. You start to see the city liven up. I love it, man. It's. I mean, we haven't had nothing to cheer about. I mean, every once in a while we'll get a good team here and there. We'll get our hopes up, but this is different. It's not. We got a quarterback, got a QB1. We got a coach, a top tier coach, an elite coach, and our team fights back. There's no score that at this point any team should feel comfortable. There's no score, so that makes us. I'm not saying we're the best team in the league, but we're the most dangerous. I don't think there's any team that is just sitting there like, oh man, we got the Bears. Like at no point. So, and just make for great games, man. It's great games. It's super enjoyable. This is the most fun in my lifetime that I've had being a Bears fan.
I think they're the one team left in the playoffs where other teams are looking at the Bears saying, if they get anything from their defense, we're going to have a problem. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, because all the other teams that's left are playing much better complementary football than the Bears are. There's teams out there that, struggle on defense. I mean, the Niners, struggle on defense just as much as the Bears. They don't have Warner. They don't have Bosa. Injuries have taken a toll on their season, and we saw that, come to fruition in a shootout with them when we played, a few weeks ago. But at least other teams are getting something. Bears don't get nothing other than the turnovers. When they're not getting turnovers, there's nothing to write home about that defense. Absolutely nothing. So I think other teams are looking at it like, hey, we got to go out there, we got to score points, because if their defense finds a way, to rise up and show up for just a little bit of the game, like we got problems on our hands. So I'm super excited to see what happens on Sunday. I'm glad it's on Sunday. I'm glad it's against the opponent that it is. I'm glad it is going to be single digits, playing against, a quarterback that's played over half of his career either inside or in warm weather. He does not like playing in the cold. I'm not going to say he doesn't like playing in the cold, but history has shown and the stats will tell you that he doesn't play well in the cold.
I think they said 1-7 career or 1-8 career.
Yeah, and he's got a bad finger. We'll see how easy it is for him to grip a ball in single digits with a sprained finger. So there's a lot that, can be taken advantage of, but I'm not looking forward to what Puka can do to that secondary. Yeah. I can see him going off for 200+ yards against, Jalen Johnson and Deshaun Wright, because of course my boy Tyreek don't see the field. So
we text about it, man. As soon as he saw the field, our secondary started playing so much better. I mean, yeah, we had. I mean, tackling is still an issue. I mean, that golden touchdown was ridiculous, but yeah,
there's got to be something, and I'm sure it'll trickle out. I'm surprised none of the local beat reporters from what I've heard or seen, aren't really asking him what's going on with the rotation back there. I haven't really heard anybody asking, excuse me, why Tyreek isn't really seeing the field. But that's small potatoes at this point. We got bigger things to worry about.
Yep.
But we'll see, man. It's gonna be interesting on Sunday.
What was other than just the comeback, the obvious, what was the biggest takeaway from this weekend against the Packers for you?
Ben Johnson standing on business.
Hey,
after after the game, I love everything about it. And this is coming from somebody who traditionally I've been very reserved and very not as outspoken when it comes to the Bears-Packers rivalry, because for the most of my life, it hasn't really been a rivalry. It's been, the Bears getting their ass kicked for the better part of, my life.
Yeah.
So I never really understood the whole Green Bay sucks chants when the Bears aren't playing the Packers and they'll be in the tunnels screaming Green Bay sucks. It's like, dude, Green Bay been shoving you know what in the dirt for the better part of 2 or 3 decades. How do they suck? You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
So I never really participated in it, but he's like actively bringing the inner meathead out of me, bro. Like, pause. That was crazy. But
I know what you mean, man. We know.
Yeah,
what you mean.
you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's cool. And, he says it, and he could have very easily the next day on Monday walked it back. Like, he could have easily been like, hey, you know what? It's in the locker room, got caught up in a moment. I have more respect for those guys than, what I showed in the moment in the heat of battle. Nope. Double down on it the next day. I'm like, yes.
and you know what? To his credit, this is not the first time he's doubled down on something. When he had the incident with the reporter, right? He was very selective with his words, but he never said he wishes he didn't say it. He said I just thought I heard her say something. Like I felt justified in what I said. So he doubled down in that instance too, and then with this, it's like, man, and he's smart, man. Like, so, I mean, we've coached before, so I mean, not on that level, of course, but coaching involves so much more than X's and O's. So, I mean, at least from an outsider's perspective from us, it seems like he's instilling that in his players, and if he doesn't believe that, the players aren't gonna. Like, Eberflus used to hang out with LaFleur. Like, that's crazy. You know what I mean? Like, that's insane. Never should that happen. I mean, I get it. You don't really have to legitimately hate the person, but you're not rubbing shoulders with the person or rubbing elbows with the person that you're supposed to have one of the most historic rivalries with. But Ben Johnson having that mentality is carried over to the team. And I think that's part of the reason why we won is because, man, we can't lose to these guys, man. We can't lose to them. And that's what makes it exciting to watch. It's like there's never give up. It's just the Bears, man. It's 24 points in the fourth quarter? It's insane. And I can't stress enough how happy I am. Not only that we won, but how well Caleb closed out that game. I said last week, I was like, this is Caleb's moment to shine and prove all the naysayers wrong. It's his moment. He has to. And with the exception of, I think, Matt Stafford, he has the most points ever by a debut quarterback in the playoffs, ever. 360-something yards. He had 2 bad takeaways. But I don't know if a lot of people took it the wrong way. I didn't see a lot of pushback, but seeing him on the sideline, turned up, kind of yelling. I didn't take it as him yelling at his team. I took it as him being frustrated. And it seemed like he was like, man, I need y'all to be just as upset about the way we're playing as I am. That's how I took it. It's like, man, let's go. We're better than this, and we're playing like crap. And he turned up, and I'm like, man, that's it. That's what we need. Like, we keep saying that's the Leo thing. Mm-hmm. Like, that's it, man. That's what we need from him. And what I love, the irony of all the Caleb haters, the Packers fans, they want to put up the emoji, the fingernails or whatever. The bad part about gunning somebody like that, when you lose to somebody like that, now you have to double and you have to sit on that too. So now not only are you losing to the Bears, but you're losing to a man with a manicure during a football game. So how does that feel, Packers fans? You always want to put the little emoji up. Now that's one of the biggest used emojis on social media. I love it, man.
Hey, and another thing, like for someone to come back from a 21-3 deficit at halftime, 21-6, entering the fourth quarter, lead his team back to a come from behind win, and still was only a 50% passer.
Yeah.
So for everybody who, wants to, stat hump, certain stuff, and it's like, hey, at the end of the day, is he getting the job done or he isn't? I would much rather have a quarterback who, he may miss a 5-yard throw here, may miss an 8-yard throw here, but he's hitting the 15 and 20-yard, throws. He's hitting the chunk plays, hitting the ones that matter, and then daggers, the ones that, really hurt the defense. So, would it be cool to see somebody, pick apart, 70% passer? Yeah, traditionally, sure. But I'll take 50% passer if this is what it's going to look like when it comes to, crunch time and leading a team down when it matters, to points. So it's just, that's kind of one of the more ironic things too, is for people who keep complaining about completion percentage. And it's like, hey man, is he getting the job done or isn't he?
How many of the 7 games that we came back from do we win if Caleb Williams is not our quarterback?
None.
0. So, I mean, I'm agreeing with you, man. Like, I keep saying this. He's the quarterback that we needed. I guess we didn't know what that looked like because we haven't had that quarterback, but he's exactly what we needed. He still has. It's only year 2. It's only his second year in the league.
There were points in this season right now that we're in right now, where the Bears are getting ready to play a divisional round playoff game. There were points in this season earlier on where people in this town actively wanted to see Tyson Bagent over Caleb Williams.
Insane, man.
Let's think about that for a minute, bro. People in this town wanted to see Tyson Bagent under center instead of Caleb Williams.
And it's no shade to Bagent, but it's just he's not Caleb. He's not. I'm so happy that we have him as a backup. I think he's a great backup to have, but that is exactly what he is for us. Will he go somewhere else maybe one day and succeed? He could. But how many of those 7 games do we win if he's the quarterback? I know we got to move on to another topic. I love talking about this, by the way. If you can't tell me, I love talking about this. 4th and 8.
Go
ahead.
Before I forget, because you had brought up the when we were talking about Ben Johnson and the locker room, F the Packers, that there's 2 different scenarios that happened on Sunday in 2 different games, 2 different post games that are a clear example of you can't please people in the world, bro. You got people who want to say that Ben Johnson is classless for showing emotion, for stoking the fires of a rivalry. People didn't like that. That's classless. That's, over the top. But then on the other side, you got people who wanted to rage against the reporter down in Jacksonville for bigging up Liam Cohen and, giving him some praise on the way out after they lose a game. What makes people happy, bro?
Nothing.
Like, you mad because, you got the super meathead side over here. You got Ben Johnson, F the Packers, this, and that. But then you got a reporter down here in Jacksonville, putting praise, giving praise to Liam Cohen for a great season. And that wasn't professional. What do people want, bro? I don't understand. Like, you can't make people happy, man.
No.
So you might as well just go out there and be you. That's the moral of the story, from what I was able to draw from Sunday is just be you, man, because you can't please people, bro.
Which makes me happy that Ben Johnson is our head coach, because him doubling down on what he said, and then he even was like, "Hey, I talked to George McCaskey about it. He's cool with it, pretty much, paraphrase, but he's like, hey, he's cool with it. That's my boss. That's the only one I really cared. Like, if he had something to say about it, that would be the only person that would kind of make him like, all right, he's cool with it, man. But you saw McCaskey pushing the Packers fan away, trying to get a selfie. Like, nah, man. And it wasn't a gentle love tap. He gave him a full stiff arm. Like, nah, bro.
Derrick Henry stiff arm.
Yeah,
right?
like get up out of here. I love it, man. I love it. And if I haven't said it enough, Packers fan, you have to sit on this loss. If there's one thing you're gonna get from this podcast, it's that if you're a fan, you have to just learn how to lose. At least in 2025.
For sure.
Yep.
We learned how to do it for years, bro.
Yeah,
So,
you got to. And I love the fact that they're just whiny little babies about it. There's so many people I've seen online that are Packers fans that I haven't even seen really post since they lost, just like being little babies about it. You know, own up to it. But
there's a few that I've seen that I've actually tipped my hat to, and I got some respect for them. You know, in the aftermath of the game, and while everybody's crying about Ben in the locker room, like it's something that some Packers fans have been like, I respect it, man. Hey, F y'all too. We feel the same way. I expect nothing else than y'all not to like us, And I've seen some of that. It's hasn't been to the same extent as the the whining and all of that, but I've seen trickles of that, and tip my hat to y'all, man. I respect it.
Yeah, you still got to learn how to accept that loss, but yeah, for real, good stuff. But I'm sorry, man. I'm all giddy. I told you I'm still all happy from this weekend, man. Before we move on, I had started asking you about it, man, but I was describing to Brittany, my wife. She was watching the game with us, and I was talking to her, and I was telling her and explaining to her the 4th and 8 situation where Caleb converted on the run. Like, yes, like if from I'm not going to say casual fan, but it looks, at first glance, it's like, okay, man, it's a throw. It seems pretty cool, but I'm like, the importance of everything involved in that play and everything that happened has to be Mount Rushmore biggest plays I've seen in Chicago football. Has to be. Anybody that's really, really familiar with the game, you're sprinting away from your he's towards his throwing arm, away from his throwing arm. So while being chased by a defensive end, on the run, jumping. So if you're a quarterback, you have to set your feet and you have to push off and use your hips to throw. Caleb had none of that. He threw all arm on the run, 4th and 8. If we don't convert that play, the game is over. I don't care how well we played before that. That game was done. There's nothing we could have done. For him to convert on the run, dropping it in between defenders while avoiding him, the sack, jumping and doing the Jordan logo while doing it is insane. Insane. So much so that you got Packers receivers on the sideline going, bro, what? Like, what? That happened? Yes, that happened. And that play was insane. It's one of the best plays I've seen in Chicago Bears history.
It's easily Mount Rushmore. It's easily top 3. And I would say it's probably 1 in our lifetime. I know that's might be a little bit, recency bias, but the only other plays that I was thinking about it while you were talking, the only other plays I could think of that would even rival
Hester.
That play is Hester taking the opening kick of the Super Bowl
yep.
for a touchdown. That popped in my head immediately. And honestly, the only other play that I could think of that you can even put in the conversation would probably be Week 1, 2018, Khalil Mack, the strip sack. Well, was it strip?
Strip six?
No, it was the pick six.
Yeah, he sacked him and went in the air. He caught it and
took it for a touchdown.
He had only practiced for like a week at that time.
Yeah, and it's because it was Week 1. He had just got traded there like less than 3 weeks ago. Hadn't really practiced, shows up and is like a one-man wrecking crew in that first half against the Packers. I can't think of any other plays that would even rival when you think of just, the importance, what's on the line in the moment. I would say is easily either 1 or like 1A, 1B with Hester in the Super Bowl, because obviously that Super Bowl supersedes everything. But I mean, it's up there, bro.
And the thing is, like, it's no shade to it because it was one of the most exciting moments ever in my life, seeing Hester return opening kickoff. Insane, because I imagine most people thought this. I imagine most people were like, man, what if he returns the opening kickoff? Because he just did it so much. It's like, man, what if he did that? And he did it. But ultimately, we didn't win that game. The fact that we won this game, what it meant to that game, Like there's other things like the Fridge scoring in the Super Bowl. It was a blowout, but I mean it's a iconic shot. You see it all the time with the Fridge scoring. At that time 300-pound players were far and few. Now you have to be that to be on the offensive line. But I could think like Nate Vasher returning the missed field goal or whatever in the orange unis. I mean we have some, but nothing to this degree. And before we move on, it's just I'm not conceding defeat. But I don't even care what happens from here on out. I mean, I care, but for me, at first, it was like, okay, we're making the playoffs, won NFC North. Chalk it up for a win this year because we did better than expected. But then we had to play the Packers. I'm like, all right, we can't go out like this.
You didn't want the run to end to that team.
Couldn't.
That's what it was.
It would have been back-to-back, losing to the Lions, then losing to the Packers, and then we have to hear about it all offseason, like, oh, man, you lost to the Lions and the Packers. You won the NFC North, but you guys were the worst team in the NFC North. I heard that a lot too. So we're the worst team in the NFC North or whatever. Like, what y'all got to say now? It's us versus the NFC West, and there's nobody left in the NFC. It's us versus 3 other NFC West teams.
Mm-hmm.
So if we're the worst in NFC North, then where are all you other vagabonds at? Nowhere.
All right, man. Cancun, baby.
Yeah. But we talked almost this whole episode about that, but that's great. But
well deserved.
Big game coming up. Big game. We had talked about it. It's who we both wanted if we were to advance. We both said that, going against a Rams team at home, and you even said it, and it came true. I hope it's as cold as possible. So it is going to be quite chilly, and we just so happen to have the late game, so it's going to be even colder. Get that lakefront breeze. How you feel, man?
I'm not guaranteeing a win by any means, but I'm confident that when it's 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter, that it's going to be a close game, and that they'll have a chance. I'm confident in that, and like you said, it's been a successful season up to this point, regardless of what happens, and I don't want that to sound like a concession speech. Yeah. By any means, but yeah, they have a chance. I think I said it in one of the last 2 episodes. They've proven that they could play with anybody. Yep. Not saying that they are going to win every game, but they can. There isn't a team in this league that I feel like they can't play with. Yep. They're going to show up and they're going to be able to play. They're going to be able to put up some points. We know that any given Sunday. The offense is not going to be a detriment to the team. They got what it takes on that side of the ball to make any game close. So I'm confident that it'll be, like I said, 5 minutes left in the game. It'll be close. It'll be a 1-score game. And what did Caleb say in the post game? Clock is 0. We'll look up and we'll see who wins.
Yep.
So we'll see, bro. What about you?
Yeah, I hate saying stuff like this, man, because like we always say, it's on wax. But I think it's just a gut feeling, man. I have nothing else but a gut feeling. I think this is going to be a repeat of Black Friday versus the Eagles. I think we're gonna, from start to finish, I think we got this game only because we're riding high after last week. And the Rams really struggled against Carolina, who was probably, arguably, the worst team in the playoffs. No shade to them, but, I mean, there was just so many dominant teams in the playoffs this year. I see us going in with confidence, being at home, weather advantage. Man, if that team doesn't feel like they can beat anybody in the league, I don't know what else you can show. They have to feel it. If we can feel that, I know they feel it. I know they're practicing with swagger this week. I mean, you're already starting to see the swag come out from, especially Caleb. Like, it's like, all right, we're walking the walk. Let's start talking the talk. Like, Caleb was asked. I don't want to go back to the Packers, but I'm just referencing it. Packers players were saying, "Yeah, we want the Bears. We want the Bears." He's like, "Oh, you wanted it. You got it." So he's kind of showing like, okay, we're as good as we think we are. So I think this is going to be a It's going to be a statement game for the playoffs. And I think this is going to be a game where people are like, damn, like Bears actually might do this. And what do I keep texting you, man? I've texted you a couple times throughout the year, man. What if? What if, man?
I think if you had the list, if you were tasked with listing the 5 things that make you the most nervous about the game, outside of Puka Nacua, I think the other 4 things on that list would all be Bears related. Mm-hmm. It would be, the shortcomings, of our team, not things that you're looking at on the other side as being, overly scared of, because there wasn't any, like you said, there wasn't anything about that game last week against the Panthers where you were like, oh my God, they just dropped 40 on the Panthers and, beat them 42-10 or something like that. Like, nah, Panthers were in that game and they had it every chance towards the end, to pull that out. They went into the last, I want to say 2.5 minutes of that game with a lead. Carolina was winning, with 2 or 3 minutes left in the game.
Yep.
So, yeah, like I said, if you had to list, the 4 or 5 things that you're most nervous about, most of them other than, Puka torching our secondary, it'd be all, what are the Bears going to do? It would be, pass rush. What are we going to get from left tackle because Ozzie is out? Those sort of things. So when you look at it like that, I'm confident that they'll be in it and they have a chance to win it.
This is the only other thing that I can think of besides Nacua is that besides the Niners, I'm trying to think of the teams that are left. Yeah, besides the Niners,
Seahawks.
No, I know. I'm. This is going to reference into what I'm going to say next. Besides the Niners, I would say McVay is probably he's probably the best coach in the playoffs. X's and O's wise, just as good as our coach. He's got a Super Bowl. So, when you have a coach like that, you always got to worry about that. And he's going to find ways to get Nacua the ball. He's going to scheme and come ready. That's the only other thing I can think of. It's like it's going to be a chess match because you're going to look across the field and it's going to be a worthy adversary because McVay he's backed it up year in and year out. Injuries have hurt him for a couple of years, but
he makes offense look so easy.
It's crazy.
Like whether it was Goff, whether now it was Stafford, whether it was Baker for a stretch,
yep.
Whether it was Jimmy G for a couple of games, it doesn't matter who's back there. His ability to scheme people open and, just make marching down the field look so easy. It's just like, man, for a while, that's what we were longing for, up until this year. Yeah. As Bears fans, we were like, man, when are the Bears going to step into the 21st century when it comes to offense? You know what I'm saying? So,
and now we're there.
Hey, we're here now. I
got one thing I would say. I'm going to say this. I have a lot of these today, but it's something I really need. Dennis Allen, if you're watching, stop running man coverage, please. Please stop running man coverage. We don't got it. All right. No shade to Jalen Johnson. No shade to Kyle Fuller. No shade to Nashawn Wright. No shade to Tyreek. No shade to Brisker, Byard, whoever's back there. But we don't have the pass rush. I don't care if we had Deion, Rod Woodson, Ronnie Lott, all them back there. You can only stick a receiver for so long. And I haven't seen us put up. In the second half, we did a little better, but still, they still scored. Like, that's when I really thought it was uphill battle when we were pulling away and the Packers scored again, but there's just a total lack of pressure on the quarterback. Like, it's not always about the sack. It's about the pressure, and we just don't get that pressure. So that was one of Lovey's specialties, right? Whenever Lovey had our team, even though we got good pressure, he would only rush 4, but he ran that zone, right? And so the zone, sometimes you have a lack of athleticism in certain spaces where you have the person next to you that can make up for that, compensate for that. That's the benefit of a zone. You hide your weaknesses. Please, man, stop running man coverage. We're going nuts over here watching. Like, dude, why even who was it? Herb Street, right? That was calling the game. He was like, man, why is he still running man coverage? I'm like, man, I don't even like that Buckeye talking over there. But man, for real. So please, man, on coverage, work on it in this week in practice.
Before we move on, we'll get, picks for the other games and then college championship. Is there anything? Do you have any issues with the amount of times Ben went for it on fourth, and or issue with the play calls in those situations themselves? Because for me, I feel like sometimes I want to yell at the TV or like yell into his headset and be like, you only need 1 yard. You don't need the kill shot right here. You can get 1 yard and continue to drive, and it's like so many times where it's like 3rd and short, 4th and short, especially when it's like when you have proven that you have an offensive line and a running game that can get you tough yards, why are we lining up and passing the ball? Like, that's probably the only thing that's frustrating for me when it comes to Ben. And I kind of feel like we touched on this before because it's kind of been a season-long kind of issue. But, man, it's how many times in that game were they stopped for, no gain or negative yards in the running game? Like, it's rare, for them to call a running play and not get positive yards. So when you have a line and a running game that's getting you tough yards, like, why are we going away from it? Like, that's probably the only thing that's not the only thing. That's probably the one thing that's the most frustrating when it comes to the play calls. But, I didn't have any issue. Like, it was a lot of people in the moment that were, going crazy about all of the decisions to go for it on 4th down. And it's like, you saw early in this game that this wasn't a game where you was going to be able to punt. You had to put up points, man. And he knew it. He made that decision early on in the game, and I was cool with it. I was like, hey, it's a game where you got to go out there and score, man. You see that this defense, can't stop a damn Pop Warner team right now in that first half. So I was okay with everything about his decisions to go for it. It was just the calls when it came down in the moment. It was like, man, just turn around, hand the damn ball off to my nun guy, get this damn first down and continue to drive. You know what I'm saying? So I didn't know if you had any issues with that at all.
You literally took the words that I was going to say. Like, so I didn't have an issue with us not punting. I'm in a group chat with my family and my brothers, like, why are we punting on our own 30? And I get it, man. Like, that's not normal, right? Especially in the playoff game that we're in. But I want to say I knew this was going to happen after last week when the clip dropped of Ben Johnson, when you can read his lips like, man, I should have went for it. We're going against Detroit. We're on our own 30, and our defense wasn't doing a damn thing. And we talked about it like, man, once we kicked the ball, we knew it was over with. That was it. And I'm like, man, he's not doing that because they were doing the same thing against the Packers. So, and previously, so we had went for it on our own 30, and it was what, 4th and 4 or was it 4th and 1? It was 4th and short, regardless, whatever it was. And they had just had back-to-back 85-yard drives. And there was watching it, I'm like, okay, we don't look like we're about to stop them at all. There was no point where I was like, all right, man, 3 and out, we got them. No, it was none of that. It was bad. So seeing them not punt, I'm like, man, I get it. I understand. Like, we have just as good a chance going for it than we would, punting it. And he didn't even play. Not one punt the whole game. He didn't even play. And at that point, our best defense was keeping our offense on the field. That was our best defense that game. Second half was a little different story, but I wasn't mad at that. But like you said exactly, Ben's biggest flaw is he tries to be too sexy sometimes. He tries to scheme up these plays. So now it's to the point where they expect it. So now, like, we're seeing all these I'm drawing a blank. What are the passes where you pitch it in front of it?
The little jet sweep, pop
jet
pass.
sweep, just like, they read it. Like DJ Moore, that was the biggest loss we had, and it's like, what will catch him off guard? A halfback dive. That would catch him off guard at this point, because we're always doing like a double reverse pass downfield where, yeah, it's cool, that's exciting, but we do it so much, it's like, man, actually the surprise play would be a quarterback sneak that people would be like, oh man, that really caught me off guard, because a lot of times he just does too much. So if he dials back a little bit with that, I think I agree with you. So both cases, I'm cool with not punting, but I wasn't cool with the play calling.
We both predicting dubs.
Yeah,
bring home a dub this week.
So I want to preface this because I don't I don't want to be called a hypocrite. But I did fill out a bracket before the tournament started, or the playoffs. I don't want to call them tournament like it's March Madness, but and I have the Rams going to the Super Bowl. I had us playing the Eagles though. I didn't have us going against the Rams. I had the Rams going through Seattle, and then, but now after seeing last week, I was even talking about that at work today. I was like, after seeing the first round of games, would you guys change your brackets up a little bit? And so yeah, no, I got us with a dub.
Same. What about Niners Seahawks?
I got the Niners only because I just think it's fate for the last game we had for us to have that run it back. That would be great TV. That would just be phenomenal TV. It'd be a storybook, just a run for us if that's the case. You had one at your house. Come play at our house. See if there's any difference.
I would love for the Niners to win that game and us move on and be able to, play them again at home.
Seattle, don't you?
Yeah, I got Seattle, man. Kittle's out for the year now. And Seattle's defense, man, I just think that when it all boils down and you sitting here in a do or die game in the playoffs, I think that you could absolutely trust Seattle's defense more than if you need a stop from either one of those teams, you would put your money on Seattle's defense to get a stop before you would San Francisco. So, but like I've always said, this time of year, Sam turned back into a pumpkin.
That was my response.
So it's like
that was my response.
So it is slightly hypocritical of me, but I'm picking Seattle not because of him though. I'm picking Seattle because of their defense.
At this point, for me at least, I'm not saying it's a gut feeling because everything goes out the window come playoffs. So I can't argue. It's not like it's a bad pick. I think that my logic, this is just what's going through my brain. I always go with and it's contradictory because I predicted us to win. And Stafford's a Super Bowl quarterback, but whatever. I'll contradict myself. I'll be cool. Purdy's proven he can win the big game, make it to the Super Bowl. Darnold has yet to win that big game. That's the only reason why I picked that. Now, he can prove me wrong. Cool. That's fine. I have nothing against Seattle. I'm not an anti-Seattle person. I'm not for San Francisco, so I'm cool with it.
What about Texans Patriots?
Now, I personally feel like that's the best game of this round. That's going to be the best game this round because both defenses looked amazing, like amazing that first round. There was nothing about either one where I was like, I want to play them. I don't want to play either one of those teams. If we make it to the Super Bowl, neither one of them. But I think I'm going to take the Texans. I think I'm going to take the Texans, man. I think for some reason I just don't trust. New England's still young. I feel like they have a lot to prove. Houston, they've got playoff experience. Stroud is likely to ball out whenever. Defense just as good. I'm going to go with Houston. I know who you're going to pick too. But who you got?
I'm taking Houston. I don't think that C.J. Stroud is going to play as terribly as he played.
He seemed a little nervous, right?
Yeah,
that last game?
He did not play well at all against the Steelers, and that defense still went out there and held Pittsburgh to 6 points and like 150 yards of total offense, which is crazy. So yeah, I'm taking the Texans.
Can I just? I'm having fun trolling Packers fans, but Aaron Rodgers lost that game. That wasn't even like that game was close the whole game. Fumble, touchdown, pick six. I mean that totally killed the game. That was it. So I know you.
We got a.
You appreciate Rodgers as a player. I know you don't like him as a person. But
we got a retirement announcement come from him.
Oh yeah,
within the next few days to a week or so. Don't see any way that, especially with Tomlin. Tomlin steps down. I don't see a scenario where he wants to. Steps down. I don't see a scenario where he wants to come back. To Pittsburgh for, an incoming coach. And I just don't see any other spots around the league where somebody is going to be eager to be like, yeah, come on in. I just don't see it. So, and people have said Minnesota. If Minnesota didn't want him last year, why would they want him this year?
Yeah, no.
So, yeah. Broncos, Bills. That's the last one.
I just got to ride with the team that I predicted to win the Super Bowl. I'm gonna ride with Josh Allen until he proves me wrong. I'm not as confident in it anymore, but I'm like they said it during the game too. I mean, this is his chance to. Not saying that he's not going to get other opportunities, but this is his chance to get his first chip with no Mahomes and Lamar in the way. But it'll be tough. It'll be tough.
Yeah, man. Give me Denver in that defense. I'll take him for sure.
I'm again. It's
Jacksonville had every chance to knock Buffalo out last week.
They're not slouches though. That's the only thing. Jacksonville, they like you said, man. Liam, he turned that team around. You could tell the difference.
Mm-hmm.
And they didn't even have Travis out there, so they got a lot to look forward to. That, so maybe I'm a little overreacting because that game was closer than what I thought, but I shouldn't have been because Jacksonville been balling out this year.
Yeah, I'm taking the Broncos strictly because of the
split.
defense and the
I don't trust Bo Nix either.
The experience of the head coach.
Yeah,
I could trust Sean Payton more than I could trust Sean McDermott easily. 7 days a week and twice on Sunday. Sean Payton has won a Super Bowl.
Yeah. I just think that Sean Payton, we're in a different version of Sean Payton. I mean, they're playing well. I'm not going to hate on them. They're playing really well. They had the best record in football. I can't say that. I don't know if New Orleans, Sean Payton, McDermott ain't a slouch either. That's another one I forgot. He's got to be. You probably got McVay, you got Shanahan, and McDermott's probably number 3 right after that, right? As far as elite coaches, or would you put Payton above him?
Above McDermott?
Yeah,
absolutely.
I'm talking about active, right? Well, yeah, I got you.
There's I can name probably 6 to 8, knocking on 10 coaches that I take over McDermott.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's an exercise for another day because this ain't a Bills pod, so whatever. But yeah, other than Bears and Texans, we split on the other 2 games. Yeah, so we'll see what happens. But before we go, obviously, Monday night, national championship, Indiana Hoosiers versus the Miami Hurricanes. What are your thoughts? I'll give it to you first.
I don't want to take up too much of the floor because I want I want you because I didn't get to enjoy having this platform while Michigan was winning, and I always think about, man, how much I would have just showed my ass if it was around. So I want you to I told you that I want you to enjoy it, man. Bears and Miami succeeding at the same time, like you got to be in bliss right now. But so I know we talked downstairs, but I would, if I had to put my bet in, I would probably take Indiana. But I'm not confident about it with Miami being at home. Miami dominate the trenches. I feel like they're better offensive line and they have a better defensive line. I think Mendoza's having a better season. I don't know if he's a better quarterback. I don't know. Beck, when he's playing well, there's not many quarterbacks better than him in college football. But unfortunately, you get that other version of him every once in a while. If I had to bet, I would probably bet on Indiana, but I'm not confident with that. I think it's going to be a close game. And I can very well see Miami. We were talking downstairs, and you had mentioned that look at the common opponent with Ohio State, and they wiped the floor with Ohio State more so than Indiana did. So, yeah, it can go either way. I think it's a toss-up. I mean, obviously, I know who you're going to pick, but I want you to kind of, because I know how you felt throughout the season, but like, how does it feel to actually have your dog in the race?
Man, for the first time in over 20 years, man. It's
25, right? 25 years.
Man. It feels good, man. And it's, you alluded to it as far as the game. Like, you just alluded to it a little while ago when you talked about, the offensive line and defensive line being, an advantage, for Miami. And, if you talk to anybody who, is any sort of, football expert at the college or professional level, they'll tell you that that's where you need to, start when you're talking about building a football team is, O-line and D-line. And when you talk about common opponent, we went into that game a couple weeks ago, Miami versus Ohio State, and you laid out the blueprint, here on Wax saying, hey, Ohio State loses games when, another team comes in and bullies them and punches them in the mouth down in the trenches. And that's what Miami did. They did it against Texas A&M. They did it against Ohio State. They did it against Ole Miss. And there's nothing about, respectfully, there's nothing about Indiana's O-line or D-line that makes me feel like they're not going to be able to do it again. So I think the line is disrespectful. The spread. I think the spread is 8.5. Indiana, that is 8.5 point favorites. I think that's crazy. So, of course, I have, my money on Miami, of course. But I'm not scared, but nervous is the best way I would put it. I've used that phrase multiple times when talking to other people when they've asked me about it. Not scared, but nervous for sure because, Signetti is, came to Bloomington and taking a basketball school and trying to turn him into a damn football powerhouse, bro. So they're going to fight and it's going to be close. But in the end, of course, I'm rolling with the U. Yeah,
and the way they closed out the game against Ole Miss last week, Carson Beck ironically coming through in the clutch. Yeah, I'm not going to – I can't say I root. I don't want to be phony either, but I'm not necessarily going to root for anybody. I'm just going to watch it to enjoy football. But I would rather see Miami win than Indiana. I'm not like everybody. Everyone's like, oh, if my team's not in it, I want someone from my conference. Nah, skip everybody in my conference. If it ain't Michigan, I don't really care. So it doesn't matter. I would like to see them take that L. But, we'll see. Like I said, I agree with you. I think it's going to be a close game. It's going to be a hard-fought game. I think it's probably the best matchup we could have asked for from the playoffs this year. You have your number one seed finally making it to the national championship. And I think Indiana, were they the first team with a bye to win in the new college football playoff?
Everybody else been coming off that bye and
taking an L.
Yeah.
And Miami going the same route that, Ohio State did last year, being the lower ranked team, taking a long road. So you got either story, you got their powerhouse going to win it this year, or you got your underdog, quote unquote, going to win this year. So they got what they wanted.
Can't wait, man. We're going to reconvene next week. We'll have, 2 super important games to talk about. And hopefully we both in here, upbeat again like we were today, floating on cloud 9, Hopefully, man. Hopefully. Fingers crossed, man. But anything else?
If we learned anything from today, right? We learned that the Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. So one more time before we go, the Bears beat the Packers in the playoffs. If I don't get to say that anymore, I said it enough on this podcast, man.
And it's on Wax.
Yeah,
you can always go back to it.
2025 was our
Put
year.
it on the loop, replay it, feel good about it.
Anything you want to touch on before we head up out of here, man?
Nah, man. Like I said, just hopefully we'll be back here next week with good news and good outcomes to break down, man. That's all I can hope for, man. Even if one of the games or either one of the games don't, go the way that I specifically want them to go. I'm just hoping for both of my teams to show up and represent themselves well, man, and put forth a good showing, man. That's the only thing I can hope for.
Well said, man. Well said. Well, that's all we got for today. Another, by far, my favorite episode we've had so far, with the exception of interviews. Very appreciative, but just us recapping stuff, man. Being able to brag about that ass whooping we put on the Packers, love it, man. I'm gonna go home happy too. So, haven't said it in a couple episodes, but make sure you follow us on. We're on TikTok now. Actually, the numbers crawling up big time on TikTok. So appreciate everybody supporting us on TikTok. Instagram, getting a lot of views on Instagram as well. Facebook, YouTube, catch the full episodes, have shorts on YouTube as well. So please just make sure you like, comment, subscribe, show support. Doesn't take much time at all out your day, man. We really appreciate it. Anything else, man?
No time and very little money. So run it up, man, for us, man. We appreciate it.
All right, y'all. That's all we got today. Thanks for coming. See you next week.